So a lot of people have been relocating to Austin over the last several years. And look, a lot of people absolutely love it, and a decent amount of people kind of hate it. And that's not because Austin is bad. It's just because Austin isn't exactly what they thought it would be when they were thinking about moving here. So today I've got a revised list of 15 things that you need to know about before you think about moving here. Some of them are awesome and some not so much, but they're all true. All right, number one, everyone in the Austin area thinks they're keeping it weird, but the suburbs are surprisingly normal. Do you agree with that, Aaron?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So Austin has this motto, and there's no way you haven't heard this, but Austin's motto is keep Austin weird. And so a lot of people like really hold true to that, and they're like, yeah, like we're weird. We're super weird. And they think that the entire Austin area is gonna be like that, which we're gonna talk about here in just a little bit. But all you have to do is just go like 5-10 miles outside of town, and you are like in anywhere America, just with way better tacos. All that being said, number two is that Austin is one of the only places where your next door neighbor could be a tech startup CEO or a goat, like literally. And that's especially if you're living in central Austin. Like, it's crazy. You would think that we have no zoning laws. Like one house to the next in these neighborhoods, like you'll have this massive palatial estate, and then literally next door, you will have like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, rundown house with a pig in the backyard and a broke down trampoline with a bunch of yard art in the front yard. And you're just like, this does not compute. So that's something that you're definitely gonna wanna know before you come here. All right, and number three, you have to know that there is like a vibes gap between North Austin and South Austin. Okay, so I always say this, but you know, my dad grew up in South Austin. He was like born and raised in South Austin, and historically, South Austin was seen as having more like blue collar, working class, manufacturing jobs, kind of creative, artsy, kind of struggling musicians type people. And then North Austin, north of the river, north of Town Lake, was seen as just having more white collar, kind of corporate, medical, political, intellectual type jobs. And there used to be like this massive rivalry between North and South Austin. And like a lot of people like to think that that doesn't exist anymore, but I would say it's absolutely still there. It's not as obvious, but if you spend enough time here, like Aaron and I right now, we're on South Congress. So we're well south of the river, and you can just tell, like, even though a lot of this is new and I hardly recognize any of this having lived in Austin for almost 20 years, but it's still like, it feels more eclectic. It feels more kind of artsy, quirky, and you would not be seeing like just some of the style and the fashion that I'm seeing. Like you would not see this in North Austin. And so North Austin still feels like a little bit more corporate. So a lot of the tech jobs that have come along with the tech boom in the Austin area, a lot of those jobs are centered up north. And so those vibes like techie, corporate versus artsy, blue collar, those vibes are still definitely there. So on that note, if you're thinking about moving to the Austin area, but you're not entirely sure if you're a North or South Austin person, just so you know, if you're watching this, you are a North or a South Austin person. And so you definitely want to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email so that we can ask you a bunch of questions and figure out what do you like, what do you hate, what's your lifestyle, so that we can figure out, should we point you more toward North Austin or South Austin? It's a really important question that you have to answer before you move here. All right, so the fourth thing that you need to know is that your work commute might be 30 minutes or 95 minutes. All right, and that could all depend on one wreck on one person's flat tire. Okay, so two of the roads that are like big north-south thoroughfares in Austin, one is called I-35, and it's kind of infamous. I always say it's created by the devil. It's terrible. There's always terrible traffic on it. And the other road is called Loop 1, but we call it here in Austin, we call it MOPAC, which is short for Missouri Pacific Railway. So I-35 and MOPAC it's almost unavoidable. You have to use those roads at some point. And if one of those roads has a wreck on it, like good luck, it will completely explode, completely destroy your commute. So again, if you're thinking about moving here, you're gonna wanna be very strategically placed along one of those main roads so that we can help you avoid an insanely longer commute than you need to have. And honestly, we wanna keep you on those roads as little as possible. The fifth thing you need to know about Austin before you move here is that almost everyone is new here, so don't feel weird about it. So like a lot of people here are looking for community, so like definitely do not feel weird about putting yourself out there, reaching out and just trying to connect with a friend, because chances are like the person that you see at the gym or the person that you see at church, they probably are also new. So like lots of people are new here because of the explosive growth that Austin has experienced in the last several years. So again, like don't feel weird about being new. The people in Austin are really open, really welcoming, very warm to newcomers because chances are they were a newcomer very recently. All right, now the sixth thing that you're gonna need to know before you move to Austin is that the Austin that you're picturing is more than likely not where you're gonna live. Okay, so if you're coming here and you're falling in love with South Congress, with Bolden, with Zilker, or you come to ACL and you're like, wow, Zilker Park's amazing. You go to Barton Springs Pool, you go to Deep Eddy Pool. Like chances are you're probably gonna end up living about 20 to 30 miles from those iconic Austin spots. So when you come here, don't spend so much time right smack in the middle of Austin, like where we are right now. Spend time where you think you might actually end up living. Now, the seventh thing about Austin that I want to mention is that yes, we have some of the most world-class food that you are ever gonna have in your entire life. However, you're probably gonna end up eating at Chick-fil-A most of the time. And I'm telling you, like Austin has just grown so much and it's been really cool to be here and watch it grow. But I'm telling you, like a lot of the places, again, like down here in South Congress or downtown, you're gonna want to go to are, it's gonna be too much of a hassle to get there and to park. You probably won't even be able to get a reservation. And like, watch, there are Chick-fil-A's and there's a really great hamburger restaurant called P. Terry's that I guarantee you, despite our amazing food, you're gonna end up eating at those two spots more than you think you will. Aaron, did you not literally just eat at Chick-fil-A?
I literally just ate Chick-fil-A and it was awesome.
I eat at Chick-fil-A on average like 2.5 times a week. Now, the eighth thing you need to know about Austin before you come here, before you even come here, okay, is that we do not pronounce things the way that they're supposed to be pronounced. And every street and every spot here has like 6, 7, 8 different names that we call it. And it can get really, really confusing, okay? So, for example, there is a street here called Manchaca, and the way it's spelled is Manchaca, like M-A-N-C-H-A-C-A. Do not call it Manchaca when you come here because you will embarrass yourself. We call it Man Shack. It's like a man who lives in a shack, okay? Another one is we have a street called Burnett Road, okay? B-U-R-N-E-T. It should be called Burnett, but for whatever reason, we call it Burnett. Like, burn it, darn it. And my personal favorite, because I live right off of this road, there's a street called Guadalupe. Anyone else who does not live in Austin or is not from here would pronounce it Guadalupe. However, we call it Guadalupe. So, do not go into a restaurant or do not talk to a friend and say you're looking for some place off of Guadalupe, because honestly, like no one's gonna know what you're talking about. You have to say Guadalupe, okay? Now, in terms of things being called different things, one of the biggest features of Austin, one of the biggest amenities is called Town Lake, okay? It's right down here, a few blocks away. There's no way you're gonna be able to see it, but we call it Town Lake, and recently they renamed it Ladybird Lake. However, no one, like we all refuse to call it Ladybird Lake, but on Google Maps, it might be called Ladybird Lake. It's also called the Colorado River. It's also called Lake Austin, but colloquially, most of the people here call it Town Lake. So again, I don't want you to embarrass yourself. I don't want you to come here and say, I want to walk around the trail around the Colorado River, because people are gonna look at you like you're from freaking Mars. Now, the ninth thing that you need to know before you move here, and this is very related to point number 6, and it's that you can't fall in love with your picture of Austin. You have to fall in love with your pocket of Austin. And what I mean by that is Austin is massive, okay? And especially when you take into account like all the suburbs, and there's Round Rock and Leander and Kyle and Bastrop and Dripping Springs and Liberty Hill and Pflugerville and Driftwood. Like it can get really, really overwhelming. And what I've noticed is like, this is why this is related to point number 6, is like a lot of people move here with this super idyllic idea of Austin. Like they might see Lake Austin and just be like, dang, like it's so beautiful here. I can't wait to live on the lake. and there's shopping and cafes and it's so walkable. No, what I've noticed is like the people who live here who love it, they really invest in their community, in their neighborhood, where they live, and they just treat it like that is the town where they live. And so I think that's the best way to play it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the worst thing you can do is move to a pocket of Austin that doesn't fit your needs, it doesn't fit your vibe, it doesn't fit your lifestyle. So if you want to know exactly what that pocket is, you have to reach out to us again so that we can do a needs analysis for you, figure out what you want, and we will point you in the right direction. The 10th thing that you need to know before you move here is you are either going to join HEB culture or you're gonna fight it and lose. So if you don't know what HEB is, it is by far the best grocery store chain in the entire planet, okay? Like seriously. So I don't care if you move here and you love Whole Foods or you're a Trader Joe's fanatic, I don't care. If you move here, once you experience HEB, you're gonna absolutely fall in love because they have everything. And watch, you're gonna live here for 3 months and all of a sudden you're gonna be singing the praises of like your HEB cheese or your HEB tortillas or the HEB produce. Like just watch, it's gonna happen. All right, so number 11 on the list of things that you need to know about Austin, Texas is that the people here honestly are like very, very friendly, but plans can be like super flaky, okay? So don't be offended if someone says like, hey, let's hang out sometime, or like, let's grab lunch, and then they never follow up with you, okay? So what you need to know about living here is that if you want to connect relationally with people, like you have to be really intentional, okay? So like do relationships on purpose here, okay? So like join the YMCA, join a gym, join a running group, join a church, join a book club. Like you actually have to do community on purpose, because if you don't, I promise you, like you're gonna find out that you're on your journey here in Austin, but so is everybody else. And the people here are nice, they're very friendly, but a lot of people here have a lot going on, but they will slow down and make time for you if you're intentional about it. So like I've known people who have moved away from Austin. I'm like, why are you moving? And they're like, I just didn't really have a community. I couldn't really find my people. And it's like, you have to try here. Okay, it doesn't just happen. Like I've had people I know who end up moving away from Austin, and when I ask them, hey, why are you moving? And they're like, I just couldn't really find community here. Like I just couldn't really find my people. I couldn't really find my place. And it's like, man, like you really have to try and you really have to put yourself out there, because it doesn't just happen here. All right, the 12th thing that you need to know about Austin is that the school districts are kind of funky, all right? So in a lot of areas, like where I'm from, if you lived in Conroe, you're part of the Conroe Independent School District. If you lived in the Woodlands, you are part of the Woodlands Independent School District. So it makes sense, right? If you lived in Austin, you would automatically be part of the Austin Independent School District. Nope. If you live in Cedar Park, you're part of Cedar Park Independent School District. Nope. First off, there is no Cedar Park Independent School District. Cedar Park is part of Leander, and there's parts of Leander that are in Georgetown ISD and vice versa, and there's parts of Austin that are in Pflugerville, and there's parts of Austin that are in Round Rock ISD. And so it gets really, really confusing. So I keep saying this, but like if you're moving here and schools are important to you at all, you have to get in touch with us, because we need to be able to point you to the neighborhoods that are actually in the school district that you think you want to be in. Because the last thing we want for you is that you move into an area thinking you're getting certain schools and you're just not. And at that point, there ain't gonna be a dang thing you can do about it. All right, number 13 is that after you move here, your first electricity bill might make you rethink that huge house that you thought you wanted, okay? So this is kind of a general Texas thing, honestly, but Austin lately just feels hot, hot, hot. And so one of the really great things about Central Texas is that you can move here and get a great big house for relatively affordable. But the thing is, you have that huge house, and Aaron, what do you have to do to a huge house in the summertime?
You have to smack it with AC.
You gotta smack it with AC. You have to cool it. And what do you have to do with a house in the wintertime?
You have to smack it with the heat.
You gotta smack it with the heat, yo. And so a lot of people do not understand how actually cold it gets in Central Texas, or even in Texas in general. They think it's just always hot here. When it's hot, it's hot. when it's cold, it's really cold. And so I have talked to clients before who have moved here from out of state, and they get that first month like summer electricity bill, and they're like, what in the high heavens is all this money going to? It's like, you're having to cool down that massive house that you bought. All right, now number 14, if you are not an outdoorsy person, you're gonna be soon. All right, Austin has this way of like sucking people in like a whirlwind, or a whirlpool.
What is a whirlwind?
It sucks you in like a thing that sucks people in. And so I don't know what it is. It's like in Austin, we've got a big time fitness culture. So there's a lot of people who love to do CrossFit. They do marathon running, just kind of functional fitness, jiu-jitsu, cycling, hiking, mountain biking, rock climbing. It's just kind of a thing here. And another thing that you have to know about Austin, especially in the summertime when it's hot out like it is right now, is there are so many places to swim, okay? And a lot of people who are moving here have no idea that there are even people who live here right now who do not realize how many places there are to swim. So there's like the natural bodies of water you can swim in, like a lot of the creeks and streams around Austin. There's like Barton Springs, Deep Eddy Pool, there's Lost Creek, Bull Creek, Twin Falls. Like there's falls all over the Greenbelt here, which is a big kind of nature preserve that runs all through the middle of town. But then you've also got tons of city pools, you know, like tons of city pools in the city of Austin, at least. And then even like in a lot of these master plan communities in a lot of the suburbs surrounding Austin, almost all of them have their own like neighborhood pool. So it seems counterintuitive because it's so hot, but a lot of people when they move here, kind of like the weather and nature kind of like draw you outside. And you might move here thinking you're like a pool person, you're a swimming person, and then a year after moving here, you're actually like a hiking outside with your dog type of person. Or you might think you're a jiu-jitsu person and then you move here and you get into cycling. But one thing's for sure, if you move to Austin for 1 year and you are not in discernibly better shape by the time you leave here, something has gone terribly wrong. Now, number 15 of the 15 things that you need to know before you move to Austin, Texas is this. Now, everyone talks about the weather in Texas. It is hot here, but here's the cold, hard truth. The weather is going to mess with your sense of time. And here's what I mean by that. So in Austin, we don't really have a true fall, okay? I wouldn't even really say we have a true winter or a spring. And here's the deal. It might be 90 degrees on Halloween. Like literally it might be 90 degrees on Halloween. It could be 85 degrees on Christmas Day. Or it could snow over spring break. You never really know when it's gonna be hot and when it's gonna be cold. Recently, we had temperatures up into the 90s, and then all of a sudden, for a few days, it was like in the 50s. Do you remember that? Aaron remembers it.
I'm like, if you could see my face, I'm so clueless because I'm just like, weather is all over the place here.
Aaron is clueless right now, but don't worry. When you move to Austin, it's something you get used to. You will definitely adjust because your internal calendar definitely will not adjust. Now, if you're trying to figure out where you'd actually want to live in the Austin area, check out our full map tours playlist right here.